Welcome to another episode of Palmetto Sports Daily. As usual, here in Myrtle Beach and Conway, it's What Are You Gonna Do Wednesday with Tim Beck, asking him all about their next matchup. Of course, they're getting ready to take on South Carolina. The Chants coming off of a loss to Georgia Southern, and a big aspect of that loss was the fact that Samari Collier went out with an injury in the first quarter. He had been the starting quarterback for quite a few games at that point. And head coach Tim Beck did give an update today on Collier, and he will not be playing this weekend.
Maybe. It's hard to tell right now. We got better news than what we thought. You know, when we last met on Monday, we hadn't gotten any reports back. They were a little bit more encouraging than what we thought. Going through some rehab now. Every day gets a little better. You know, so we'll see what tomorrow holds and stuff. I mean, so, I don't know, we'll see.
That maybe, and we'll see at the end there, was referring to if Collier could come back for the JMU game in a week after this weekend, or even for the bowl game, because Coastal has reached that benchmark. But really, the rest of what Tim Beck said just did not sound ideal for Collier coming back. I also asked Coach Beck if he has any eligibility left. Beck said technically no, but they're working on a couple of things to try to maybe see if they can figure something out. So I'll toss it to you guys. Just how does not having Collier change the trajectory of this game for the Chants, Kevin?
I mean, you can see it in the line that we talked about earlier this week, because when we were talking about this game last week, we all expected the line to be somewhere between 8.5 and maybe 13.5, 14 points. And then when the line came out earlier this week, I think it was something around 23.5 points. So not having your starting quarterback is going to go a long way towards Coastal Carolina's chances in this game in Columbia. And it's a shame because Collier was doing a lot of impressive things on the field for Coastal Carolina this season. It kind of makes you wonder, what was he doing in practice that wasn't enough for them to just put him in that starting spot from the beginning of the season? I'm not sure why there was this three-man quarterback battle for the first couple of weeks before he finally got in and started producing. But besides that, it's a disappointment because I really would have liked to see what he could have done against an SEC defense, Carmine.
Yeah, I mean, when you're an underdog like that, you need your best players to play great, and you need some help from the other team making mistakes. And so, Rick, if you don't have your best guy out there at quarterback, it's going to be an uphill battle for Coastal Carolina. But for the Gamecocks, hey, nothing's guaranteed, so they can't take this game lightly either.
Now, it's a shame for the Chanticleers that Collier is not going to be able to play, and I don't know if they can get enough help from their defense either to give the Gamecock offense some problems, especially if the offense comes out and they play like they did last weekend in the first half against Texas A&M. If they play like they did in the second half, then maybe there is a chance. Okay, and it's also senior night for USC, and you really have to feel for these seniors because going into this season, coming off a 9-3 regular season last year, 9-4 when you count the bowl loss, the Gamecocks, they were projected to be a contender for the SEC championship, have a good shot at making the college football playoff. Instead, they are 3-7. Can't have a winning record. You're not going to a bowl. Here are the seniors, some of the seniors, DQ Smith, Nick Barrett, and Shane Beamer talking about how big of a disappointment this is for that senior class.
It's definitely tough, you know, not the season that none of us wanted in the building. I definitely had higher expectations, but we still have 2 games left. We finish this year off strong, you know. Like Coach said, we're playing for, a state championship now. So just finishing off these guys, finishing off the next 2 games, you know, we can really finish on a strong note.
I do wish, like, we could have did more as a team, though. You know, win more. But I appreciate Coach Beamer and the rest of the defensive staff for allowing me to red shirt and to come back this year, display everything I've been putting on tape this year.
If anybody had the right, if you will, to go out on the practice field and be a bunch of sad boys, it's that senior class, and it's been the complete opposite. They've been awesome.
And if you're going to the USC Coastal game, getting your seats early. 3:50 is when they're going to honor the seniors. Kickoff is at 4:15. Teagan?
Yeah, and I'm sure that there are a lot of fans going to this game that are fans of both teams, so a little bit of a conflict there for some folks here in South Carolina. Something head coach Tim Beck talked about this morning, too, was just the Coastal defense and getting ready for South Carolina after what Coach Jeremiah Johnson called an embarrassing performance last week in front of Georgia Southern. The Shots really struggling to stop the run there. And they have a very big challenge coming up this week. Of course, Lenora Sellers, a very dynamic quarterback. But head coach Tim Beck, with not too much confidence in his answer when asked about playing the Gamecocks.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Pretty good. Good defensively. Defensive line's good. Defensive ends are good. Fast, athletic. Linebackers, they cover a lot of ground. Quarterback's legit. I mean, hard to technically really, quote, stop them. You just kind of have to try to contain them and keep them dynamic at wide receiver. Their special teams plays off the charts right now. The punt return is ridiculous.
Yeah, and he went on after that as well. That was just a little piece of him talking about South Carolina. He was also asked about how to prepare for Lenora Sellers when you don't have a quarterback like that on your roster. And, Beck just said they're going to do the best they can this week in practice in terms of that. But, Carmine, I know that Clemson still has the possibility of going to a bowl game, unlike South Carolina.
Yeah, and hopefully that becomes a definite with their 33rd win in a row over Furman, which is what this would be. If they don't get bowl eligible from this game, it would be an absolute catastrophe here at the Fox Carolina Studios. But it is a fun, another in-state matchup, Teagan, like you mentioned, in your neck of the woods, you got the Gamecocks hosting Coastal Carolina. In the upstate, it's Clemson hosting Furman. And an interesting note here is that the general manager for Clemson football, Jordan Sorrells, he's been with the program for about a decade. It's his second year in the GM role. He is a Furman legend, so he's got a little bit of a conflict of interest. He was a Furman quarterback. He was their starter for 2 seasons, and he holds the career record for passing touchdowns and is second in passing yards and completions in Paladin's history. But now he's on the Clemson side. So during Media Day a few months back, I asked him about this upcoming matchup, where he aligns, and then this week, Dabo Swinney caught Sorrells snooping around the facility. Here, listen to this.
Yeah, there's no conflict for me. I mean, Clemson signs my paycheck. That's where the bread is buttered. So I want to win, no matter who's standing across that. My mom could be coaching the other team, and I want to make sure that we're coming out with a victory.
Interesting. Yeah, I came up last night because it was about 10:45, and me and Matt Luke are in the office, and all of a sudden here comes Jordan Sorrells walking by, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're not here on Monday nights at this. He goes, I'm always here this late on Monday nights. I'm like, I don't ever see you on the coach's hallway this late on Monday nights. And this is some Furman bull crap going on around here. So, yeah, not just him. We got Caldwell. We got Mike Dooley. So it's we got our eyes on those guys this week.
So good fun there between a couple in-state teams and connections from Furman extending to Clemson, but all in good fun, Kevin, and they seem pretty confident that they will become bowl eligible with a win over Furman.
Yeah, like you said, it would be a catastrophic thing if they lose this game to Furman. I can't imagine what we'd be talking about on Monday should that happen over this weekend. We also have coming up the season finale for Charleston Southern this weekend as they wrap up the 2025 year at home, taking on Tennessee State. Been a really up and down season for Charleston Southern, and what I'm sure they would take after dropping their first 4 games, a stretch that included them setting the record for most consecutive losses in program history. They've come back to win 4 of their final 7 and can finish the year at 5-7 if they get the win this weekend. For Gabe Gardenia, that is a huge turnaround coming off a winless season last year, and he's really looked back on what they've been able to do this past season earlier this week.
I think it's just a character and a function of who we are as a staff, who we're trying to be consistent as men, as kind of husbands, but also just as coaches, right? And like developing players. I think some of what gets lost, I think, in this transfer portal stuff is like the development of guys. And so taking young players or taking a transfer and seeing them exponentially get better.
Bucks and Tennessee State kickoff at 2 o'clock on Saturday. We're just getting going here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We've got more coming back right after this.
Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. We hit the college football scene. Now we're going to go to the pros, where the Carolina Panthers have a winning record in November. It's unbelievable, guys. When we set out this season, we were complaining that the Panthers needed to practice in the preseason, keep those starters in the game, and somehow the offense just got electrified here in the last game, the overtime win at the Atlanta Falcons. Big division matchup, winning 30-27 in overtime. Bryce Young throwing for 448 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. It sounds like I'm living in the Twilight Zone because it doesn't even seem realistic, but very optimistic for the Panthers that he was able to do this, lead a win. And now you're going to have to reset your TV dials, because this game won't be Sunday at 1 p.m. on Fox like we've become accustomed to watching the Panthers basically every single week. This will be a Monday night matchup with the San Francisco 49ers. A late one. Panthers fans are going to have to get the sleepy sand out of their eyes and stay up late. But here are a couple former Gamecocks talking about Bryce Young coming on strong and what it's been like to be on this ride of success that they're not used to for their team.
Oh, man, they make all of us excited. You see out there, everybody catching it. We celebrate with each other. He a dog. Yeah, so.
Were you surprised to look up and see him back in the game as soon as you guys went back on offense?
Oh, no, I kind of felt like he was smooth. Like once he got up and he walked off the field, he didn't really walk off with a limp, a bad limp.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're under the lights, it's special, especially for us. We have a lot of 1 o'clock games, so it's going to be fun being able to be out there playing under the lights. But it is a big opportunity because everybody's going to be watching, but at the same time, for us to just go in and handle the business. No matter what time we play, where we play at, we still got to go out there and execute. So that's where our mindset is.
So with Bryce Young breaking the franchise record for passing yards in a single game, nearly 450 passing yards, breaking Cam Newton's franchise record, and he's the first quarterback, Rick, to win the NFC Offensive Player of the Week award for the Panthers since also Cam Newton way back in 2018. So are we witnessing a historic turnaround right here? I mean, what's going on here for the Panthers?
Historic turnaround? Are you kidding me? The team that their last 4 games, their previous 4 games, only averaged 1 touchdown a game. They get some offensive production, and all of a sudden, Bryce Young, they're considering him for All-Pro, probably getting some early Hall of Fame votes. Oh, pump the brakes just a little bit. Let's see if he can duplicate this next week and the week after that. And my goodness, what's going on with Xavier Legette and his hairstylist? I almost didn't recognize him. Man, you win a game, put up some offensive stats, now they're going Hollywood.
Oh, Rick, come on. Give them a little credit. Come on.
I gave them credit for this week. Let's see if they can do it again next week.
For as bad as Rick thinks the Panthers are, the fact that they still beat his Cowboys, you can just tell it has him seething. Every time we talk about the Panthers, it just gets
You're right. You're right. I admit it. It's like we lost to the Panthers. Hey, but we're coming on. We're coming on, too.
Okay.
You know, I like the confidence, Rick. I do, and I had a lack of confidence in the Panthers. I still don't know how I feel. I'm utterly surprised by the performance. But, yeah, historic turnaround, totally agree with you. No, I need to see way more consistency from here, and not just this season. Like, this is not a point where I'm like, the Panthers next season going to the Super Bowl. Nothing like that. So we'll see how they do next week. Congrats to Bryce, though. Exciting for him. We're going to be right back with more Palmetto Sports Daily.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We move over to college basketball. We had action here in the Low Country last night as Charleston Southern was back at home for the second time this season, playing host to IU Indianapolis, and the Bucks running up and down the court the entire night. Tons of offense in this one as CSU goes on for a 103-91 victory over IU Indianapolis, led by Alon Sumler, the returning senior, had 29 points on the night. Big return for him over at CSU after missing the majority of last season, being redshirted. Bryson Blaine, the defending Big South Player of the Week, after he had that huge game against the Citadel last week, came back last night, went 6 of 7 from free throw, hit 3 3-pointers, finished with 19 points. They also got a big night from Amari Caraway. He had 24 points, and CSU just shooting the lights out. Caraway, 7 of 16 from three-point range on the night as CSU moves to 2-0 at home on the season, picking up that big 12-point victory over IU Indianapolis. As for the College of Charleston, they were in action at home on Monday night, falling to Drake by 12 points as well to the move to a 2-3 start on the season. Now, the Cougars going down to the Virgin Islands this weekend, where they play in a tournament starting off on Friday afternoon when they take on former South Carolina head coach Frank Martin and his UMass Minutemen. Chris Mack was asked after the loss against Drexel the other night, not Drexel, who did they play the other night? Whatever. They lost. It didn't matter. Drake, that's who they played. After the loss against Drake, he was asked what has been the problem with this team. He said shooting has not been good so far this season, and he says he thinks he knows what he needs to see from this team when they head down to the Virgin Islands.
We're either going to be miserable together, or we're going to learn a lot more about our team. I mean, I know a lot about our team right now. I don't need the Virgin Islands. I know what our issues are, and our issues center around not moving the ball, not playing with one another, taking awful shots, and then tying that in to our defensive effort when things aren't going well for us individually. So it's pretty easy. I don't need the Virgin Islands to explain, what our issues are. Whether we fix them or not is a different story.
So like I said, CFC in action on Friday when they take on UMass. Rick, South Carolina also picking up a big win last night.
Yeah, the Gamecocks are 4-0. They started the season playing 4 straight games at Colonial Life Arena. Last night they beat Radford 87-58. And I have to tell you, Gamecock fans have to like what they're seeing from this team. A lot of new players, 11 to 12 new guys, but a lot of them can really put points on the scoreboard, and they're playing well together. Like last night, 50 of their points were scored by the bench, and Elijah Strong and Eli Ellis combined for 29 of those points. All right, let's listen from the Gamecocks. We got Elijah Strong and head coach Lamont Paris talking about having so many guys who can put points up.
Got a lot of guys who can play, so we have a complete team. In my opinion, everybody can play pretty much any position, and we have a positionless game. And whenever you have a team that can just share the ball like we do, and play together and just play and trust each other, everything will just take care of itself. Honestly,
a lot of these guys have some firepower. I mean, it's not like you throw a guy in off the bench and it's like, okay, I hope he kind of holds it down. If he gets 6-8 points, that'd be great. We got a lot of guys that could, under the right circumstances, score. I mean, like you said, double figures.
Gamecocks also had 22 assists last night, so sharing the basketball, finding the guy with the hot hand, putting points up on the board. Of course, it's early on, and we'll have to wait and see what they can do in the SEC.
Yeah, Rick, that's exactly what I was going to say, because under the right circumstances there can put up double-digit points. I'm not sure if SEC play is under the right circumstances when, what were they, 2-17 in the SEC last year? So are you confident that these guys will be able to stand up to the test of the conference play as far as their offense?
I'm not confident, Carmine. I don't know about anyone else. I know Rick can't hear us right now because his IFE went out, but putting up a bunch of points against Radford, I don't see that as a huge deal. I think that's something an SEC team should be doing.
Right. No, I agree. And very convenient that when Rick is put to the test here about the Gamecocks men's basketball team, all of a sudden the sound goes out. No, just kidding. But it will be interesting to see. Oh, sorry, Rick. Are you back? Oh, now you're back. Okay, I was asking if you're confident they'll be able to put up points against the SEC.
Carmine's talking trash about him?
Come on, Carmine. What'd you say?
It's not you personally. No, I just said, Rick, they're saying under the right circumstances they'll be able to put up points. They have all these double-digit scores. under the wrong circumstances is SEC play when they finished 2-17 last year. Are you confident that they'll be able to hold up when conference play starts with all these supposed scores on the team?
Well, I think they'll be better, but this is the time of the year where you have to, let's just say, put a little cash in the bank. You want to do well in conference play. You want to finish with a winning record, but you can't lose all of your non-conference games because that won't help you get into the tournament. But what I'm saying is I don't expect them to be as bad as they were last year, but this team is, from what I've seen, they're exciting to watch, and they do have a number of guys who can put up points. So we'll see how that translates when they do get into conference play, but I think they will win more than 2 conference games this season. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this segment of Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll take a quick time out, and we'll come back to wrap up this show.
Closing out Palmetto Sports Daily with a little postseason action, we have Clemson men's soccer. Put some respect on their name. The 4-time national champion Tigers men's soccer team is hosting Western Michigan Thursday, 6 p.m. at historic Riggs Field in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And if the Tigers win that game, they'll advance to the second round and they'll play at 16 seed Furman. So if Clemson men's soccer can win on Thursday, we'll have a fully Clemson and Furman weekend with the football team matching up on Saturday and the soccer team matching up in the NCAA tournament on Sunday. We'll keep you posted on that, and we have much more to talk about coming up tomorrow on Palmetto Sports Daily. Thanks for watching.